A federal appeals court just body-slammed Donald Trump's favorite tariffs, calling the whole program an illegal end-run around Congress. Translation: the future of a trade war worth hundreds of billions, the limits of presidential power, and maybe the price tag on your next grocery run now sit in the lap of 9 justices. Think of this as the season finale, not a filler episode. The ruling that felt like a brick. 3 judges on the federal circuit looked at the International Emergency Economic Powers Act, IEPA for short, and said the quiet part out loud. It lets the president regulate imports during emergencies, but it never uses the words tariff or duty. When Congress hands out that kind of power, it chooses words the size of billboards. IEPA just doesn't have them. So the tariffs have to go. The court hit pause until October 14th, giving Team Trump breathing room to beg the Supreme Court for a lifeline. Until then, every ship that docks still coughs up the 10% reciprocal tax and the extra surcharges on Chinese, Canadian, and Mexican goods. If the justices say no, or rule against Trump, the Treasury would be on the hook for roughly $30 billion a month in refunds. That's not a rounding error. That's a fiscal earthquake. Why this isn't just about trade. Peel back the legalese and you've got a cage match over who gets the last word, the Oval Office or Capitol Hill. Trump's team insists that gaping trade deficits and fentanyl pipelines equal a national emergency, so quick action is fair game. Critics, mom and pop importers, Democratic AGs, even some free market think tanks say an emergency isn't a blank check for forever tariffs. The appeals court agreed, noting there's no sunset date, no spending cap, and no requirement to prove the levies actually stop the bad stuff. Why should you care? Because the next president could use the same statute to go after carbon emissions, crypto, or whatever the panic du jour happens to be. Trump's counterpunch, and the SCOTUS clock. Trump hit Truth Social within minutes, calling the ruling a plot to literally destroy the United States of America. His lawyers have a narrow window, think days, not weeks, to file an emergency request asking the justices to freeze the lower court. Their pitch, IEPA's phrase, regulate importation, is wide enough to include tariffs, especially since Congress has already passed other trade laws that lean on presidential muscle. Look for them to trot out the unitary executive playbook. The president, as a co-equal branch, doesn't need Congress to during a crisis. They need 4 justices to take the case and 5 to win. 3 of those robes were stitched by Trump himself. Whether that matters is the million-dollar gossip inside the Marble Palace. What happens if the court bites? Granting review would put oral arguments on the docket this fall, with a decision by spring. Keep an eye on Chief Justice Roberts. He's handed presidents wide leeway on foreign affairs, but gets hives when that power wanders onto Main Street. The court could keep it tight, saying only that IEPA doesn't equal tariff power, or it could deliver a sweeping statement on how far any president can stretch emergency. While the briefs fly, importers are stuck in purgatory. Pay now, pray later, and budget for the possibility that every dollar might boomerang back. The economic dominoes already wobbling. Steel and aluminum tariffs, born under a different law, aren't touched, but the IEPA-based taxes cover about 2/3 of everything the U.S. imports. If the Supreme Court waves the appellate ruling through, the Treasury faces the biggest refund tab in customs history. Importers would wake up with surprise cash. Domestic competitors could watch margins crumble as cheaper foreign goods flood back in. Global trading partners who hit pause on retaliation might restart their own duties against U.S. farm products and cars. Currency traders are already twitchy. The peso and the loonie both dipped on fears that a renewed North American tariff brawl could reignite. Why 2026 is watching. This decision will echo far beyond the next quarterly earnings call. Congress might scramble to rewrite IEPA, adding guardrails or nuking the statute altogether, but bipartisan urgency is rarer than a balanced budget. If the court backs Trump, future presidents get a shiny new lever to jerk the economy without asking permission. If the court sides with the lower court, lawmakers suddenly remember they have muscles they haven't flexed since the Cold War. Either way, campaign ads in 2026 will feast on the outcome. One side will holler that unelected judges are blocking a patriotic response to foreign threats. The other will insist that the only thing standing between voters and an elected monarch is the rule of law. So here we are, a blockbuster appeals court decision, a calendar racing toward October, and a Supreme Court bench that could either bless or bury the most audacious unilateral trade move in modern memory. The stakes stretch from factory floors in Ohio to bond markets in Hong Kong. Will the justices hand Trump the win he claims American workers deserve, or will they remind every president that emergency powers aren't a one-person show? The answer's coming fast. And when it lands, the shockwaves will roll through grocery aisles for O1K, S, and voting booths from sea to shining sea.